whatever it takes, we're happy to do whatever you need us to do. Want us to do whatever takes your headache away. I think that goes a long ways towards helping clients see your value. Welcome, everybody. I'm Todd Wade. Welcome to the Joe and Todd Show.
And I'm Joe Mathis. We're glad to be here today.
Today, we're going to talk about how to help your clients see the need for an event planner. Also expressed as helping clients see your value.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics. I have probably wrestled with this topic for 25 years of how to do that and how to make it happen. And I think it's very, very pertinent to me.
I think everybody struggles with this, honestly. Every service industry person struggles with this, struggles to convey their value to their clients and to improve their value and increase their value to their clients. Even in architecture, that was a struggle for us, getting people to understand the value of an architect. And it's similar principles apply when you're talking about event planning.
I think for architects, it helps because you were required by law a lot of times in the building process, and that makes a huge difference. And I think that's one of the challenges a lot of times is with the event planning world, we're not required by law. It's not a yet. It's not something that I think sometimes even in our world, the things we see is it's not even necessarily feels like a necessity all the time. It feels like a luxury. And I think people struggle with that. Our clients struggle with that of can we do this ourselves? Can we do it with our staff in our office, or can we do it with the people we have? And I think that's a hard place to push past.
There's a lot that goes into event planning, and it's more than people think.
Yeah, that's exactly true. Exactly true. A lot more. And I think that's part of what we've got to help our clients see, our potential clients, as well as our clients for a long time. I think one of the things that I went for a long time and said I've never lost a client, and then we kind of went through a little phase where we lost several. And I think part of that was because I wasn't sharing my value. I wasn't clearly communicating my value to them. And for a couple of cases, they came back and said, wow, we didn't realize what all you did until after you were gone for a year. We thought we could do this in-house. And then you came back and it's like, oh, wow, we didn't realize what you needed. So that's kind of helped me.
It's got to make you feel good, right?
It does, but it also makes you feel bad. Like, wow, I should have helped them know what all I was doing, so they didn't think they were paying me for nothing, whatever.
Yeah, part of it's an ongoing marketing of yourself to your client, just to help them understand what you're doing for them.
That's true. And I think one of my challenges in life is I tend to lead from humility. I tend to be, oh shucks, it's no big deal. I'm happy to do it, whatever. And that's kind of where I lead from. And I don't always want to show my hand. I don't want to show you what I'm doing. I don't want to necessarily tell you how many hours I've put into something. And I've had to kind of get past that hurdle. I've kind of had to get past the hurdle of it's not all about being. It's not always sure. I can show humility in how I do things, but I can also communicate what I do and what the value is of that. And I think that's the obstacle to really get past in marketing and communicating. You're right.
So I like the example we were talking about earlier of Hank the builder. That you've got a handyman who's good at building homemade birdhouses and built a tree house for his granddaughter or whatever. But that's not the builder you want to hire to build a 20-story office building, for example. And in the same way with events, you could probably put together an event with with the receptionist or the administrative assistant in the front office, but are you going to get the quality of event that you're looking for from that compared to an event planner who has the experience, the know-how, the connections, who's doing it every day, day in and day out. that you want. So
Yeah, I think of, I think of all the time. The words I love to hear are people who say, "Oh, I'd love to plan events," and because they've helped with the school carnival or they've helped with the church projects or whatever. I love those. I love those words, and there's also nothing more terrifying than those words of "I love to plan events," and they think they know it. And it's kind of like I have friends. My son, 14 years old, teenager, loves legal stuff. He loves to debate. Um, there's a lot about him. I think he'll make a great attorney. Do I want to take him right now to defend me in court? No. I'm going to hire a professional who's done a lot before and has that ability. And I think that's kind of where we are as event planners. A lot of times is people think, oh, well, I've got my friend Jan. She's great. She's everyone loves her. She's helped with 3 weddings, and I can get her to help me with this event, and it's going to cost me $300 because I'll just buy her a nice gift and we'll be done, as opposed to a lot more than that for a professional event planner. But they don't do that when they come to legal services or medical services. Oh yeah, I've got a friend who is great at diagnosing medical ID. She's great at taking care of her children. That doesn't mean I want her to take care of my surgery, or whatever the case is. And I think that sometimes we have to elevate ourselves in that mindset of we are professional event people. We have a lot of experience. We have a lot of knowledge. We have a lot of relationships. We know the right people. We know who to call and what to do. And I think that's what we have to have that confidence and be able to communicate that to our or educate our clients in that, our potential clients in that. And I think that's what we miss a lot of times I've often said one of my frustrations is that my biggest competitor over and over again is a administrative assistant who's already overworked. And I'm not saying an administrative assistant is not capable of playing events, but I'm saying that they already have a lot on their plate. It's a lot more than making some phone calls and making sure something gets handled. And I think that's, again, that probably is an indication of my failure to communicate my value. So
so
that's important.
what are some things we need to do to ensure our value, to ensure that we're being valuable to our clients and bring value to our clients?
I love that. And I think part of it is just continuing to develop our professionalism. And Todd, that's one thing I've absolutely loved, that as you and I have worked together, I've learned more and more about even what professionalism looks like and um, how to really communicate that I'm worth what I'm being paid. Um, just some simple things, like coming prepared to a meeting, having the agendas printed out, ready to hand out, have extra pens, whatever it would be. um, we have we've talked about, for us, the credibility of inviting guests to come to our office, to inviting our clients to come to our office, and almost expectation, of where we can probably work and come to your building. We can probably make that happen, but we've got a busy day, got a lot going on, and then once they come to our office, they can see we have a professional staff, we have office tools, we have equipment, we have supplies here, and it's a lot easier to even meet at our office and be prepared for that. So I think that I know a lot of people who are listening are going, well, I'm working from home right now, I can't really do that. Well, there might be a time that a client is worthy of renting a meeting room, renting a meeting space.
Sure.
The offices where you can go in and rent a space for $50 or $75 or whatever for an afternoon, maybe well worth that. And I think that's one of the things I've seen before are people in all kinds of services who show up and say, print this out for me, or, oh, could you run that? And for us, we're always looking for an opportunity to take on responsibility for that client, to help them go, wow, that I could have done this without you. And for us, we lead with that goal in mind, of that statement of, I couldn't have done it without you. This has been great. And it's always fascinating to me. I had a client for a while that paid me a lot of money to make sure stuff was picked up and delivered back to their office. And of course, I planned their event in between. I did all kinds of stuff in between. But I think one of my biggest values to them was They walked into the event, it was already ready, set up, and to go, and they left at the end of the event soon after the guests did, and I tore things down, packed it up, and took it back to their office. And I don't want to ever minimize the value of that to some clients. And I think that's just one of those things where if I would have asked them to bring stuff to the event, or if I would have said, "Here, I'll help you load your car," and made them then on Monday morning take stuff back up to their office or whatever the case was, I think I think for them they would have been saying, "Wow, what did I hire that for?" And at this point, we a lot of times have labor do that. A lot of times we will, um, have a delivery service deliver things to their office, and that comes from some missed opportunities of where I didn't do it right, or where I didn't excel at that because I was moving on to the next thing, and look around a week later and go, "Oh yeah, there's stuff still at the office." Then that's where it's like, okay, I've got to plan in my fee to hire delivery people and deliver on behalf of me, but not make a big deal about it. But that's just something that I've taken care of. So
That's really good. One of the things, of course, in architecture, you've got to maintain your license. You've got to do continuing education, and that applies for most professional uh, careers. It's no different for event planning. There's lots of opportunities for continuing education on event planning, meeting planning. There's Meeting Planners International. There's the special event offers all kinds of resources for that. Their annual conference, of course, and then there's the what are some other ones, Joe, that I'm leaving out? The
well, I
one we
think
go to all
the
the time. The
ILEA smart meetings,
Yeah, smart meetings.
live events is another one that does some great stuff. And I think one of the opportunities that we have, Todd kind of laughs a lot. We went to a special event in San Diego, and that's all I talked about a lot of times coming back from that. Made sure I had my tan or whatever, and we'd go to a client meeting, and I would say, "Oh, look at the weather today. It was beautiful in San Diego. We just got back from," and be able to kind of lead, even lead a meeting with, "We've just returned from learning more about how to do special events," and I think that again helps the client go put in the back of their mind, "Oh wow, they went to a class, they went to a seminar, they went to a conference, they went to a convention." Recently, it's been, we were on a call with professional event planners trying to figure out what's next and what do we need to do. And I think that's just a great place to be. I think it helps the client to go, "Oh yeah, I hadn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have known who to call to connect with those people." The other thing along with that,
And that applies, if you've got a administrative assistant trying to plan an event, they're not listening to those industry calls and going to those industry conferences and finding out what the most current thing is and what the issues are, what you need to think about planning an event.
yeah, that's exactly right. And I think again, I don't want to make it appear it's manipulative or name dropping or anything like that. But I think sometimes to use our industry partners in topics of, I haven't personally done that, but I have a friend who does. By the way, I have a friend who is the meeting planner for this company, and I can call them and see what they've done before. Or we laugh all the time for entertainment. The world's such a small place in the entertainment industry, and I have friends all over the place. I can call and say, "Hey, have you had this artist? What's it like to work with them? Have you been to this hotel? Have you been to this place or whatever?" And I think again, helping our clients know that of, "Oh, you want to have this artist in? I have a friend who just had them in last fall. Let me call them and learn some of the perks of things we need to know to have them in, or let me figure out the best way uh, to get them." And I think again, communicating that you have the resources and you know the people, and
Yes.
you have the ability to do things that they wouldn't necessarily have access to.
When you have the connections, people. I say when I talk about Joe, I say he's the guy that knows everyone who knows everyone who knows everyone, and so he's got, I don't know how many friends on Facebook now, but Joe has just got a real network of people, of resources, and people he knows, people that know how to do stuff, and that's what you need in events. Is you've got to have a wide uh, net of people that you can draw from to provide any kind of resource for events.
we've laughed about, the 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon, and a highlight of our company was when we kind of realized, hey, we're 1 degree of separation from Kevin Bacon, and really, again, I don't mean that arrogantly, but I mean in the event world, a lot of times as event professionals, we are 1 and 2 degrees of separation from just about anybody or anything we need to know, and I think that's something we've got to build on. We've been talking a lot about in our company, just continue to develop those relationships, keep those relationships, build on those relationships, keep some inside jokes. You develop inside jokes with people, and keep those rolling, keep those going, and help people remember who you are and what you're about. And then when you do need something, or you can help somebody else out, you're there to do that. And so that's real important to us. We put a lot of value into that, and just like those of you listening now, we want to become your friend. We want to know who you are and help you, and give you ideas, and in turn, we want to get your ideas and listen. So even think about that. That's part of our goal for this, is to be that network of people that we can come together. So again, I think that's a lot of value of having a professional event planner around. The other
So
challenge. Yeah, go ahead.
how do you like what do you think some things are that what do you think people are lacking when they come looking for an event planner, and what holes do you think we as event planners need to be mindful that we're filling um, as we are doing event planning?
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think all the time about, you know I've said several times, I don't know if it's the best marketing motto, but I like to say, I like to take headaches away. What are the headaches that you
That's really
have
good.
as a client? How can I best take those away? What can I provide? And a lot of times we look into an organization and try to pick up on their weaknesses,
Mm.
and then come in and meet those with our strengths. And so maybe that is, they're trying to go to a venue that requires an event planner. Well, here we are. Or maybe they don't have the time to put into planning events. We have one client that we look at, the things that go across that client's desk is unbelievable. When I look at everything that they must do, I don't know how they sleep at night because they
Yeah,
have so
so
much going on.
some of these organizations are only 3 or 4 people in the entire organization, and so they're doing everything from taking out the trash to signing contracts to
Yeah.
I mean everything. So they just don't have the capacity or the ability to plan an event, but they need one.
And I think that's when you come in and say, "Hey, let me do that for you. I would love to help you with that." And a lot of times, again, I don't mean this to sound manipulative at all, but I think there are times you say, wow, you've got a lot on your plate. How do you get this all done? What can I take? What would be the most helpful? And I think the other thing you got to hear in some of those conversations is, what are things they love to do that they don't want to let go of, and help them to keep that the best they can. And so, for example, maybe it is, uh, they want to be with their donors, or they want to be with their potential clients, or whoever it is their guests are. Then we've got to say, hey, well, that's what I'm here for. I don't want you to be worried about the temperature of the room, or when the food's coming out, when you could have an opportunity to make $1 million deal with
Yeah.
a salesperson. And then also, just knowing that they don't know our business, they don't know how to negotiate a hotel contract, they don't know the standards. We talk a lot about, uh, I think, again, it's sometimes entertaining to talk tablecloth sizes with a potential client, because they don't understand them, and to help them to know they don't understand them. I think
It's
that's
taken me 2 years to understand.
I think that's you
I'm
you
still not sure if it's a 132 or a 134.
I think depends on what company you order from.
Yeah.
So I think that's
You
helping
know
that
those
client
things.
see that, and know that, and maybe they don't know the vendors in the area. And again, we're willing to make those phone calls, figure out who the best fits are, the organizational skills, obviously the creativity. I think, again, the challenge is sometimes is if we work with a group of people, if we're working with an ad agency, or we're working with a creative group of some sort. Sometimes it's a company that has their own marketing company or their own salespeople or whatever that is, and we're working with those people. They're automatically creative, and so again, it's helping them to transfer their creativity to us in a different realm and helping them to see you may be really good with print media. We want you to do all the print media for this event. We're not going to take that on. You're good at that. And but helping them to know you're not necessarily good at live entertainment, or you're not necessarily good at, again, we wouldn't say that those words, but helping them to see, oh yeah, I'm really creative when it comes to designing a commercial and filming that, but I may not be as creative when it comes to the timing of the live entertainment, how that comes in, and or the script writing, or whatever it is. So
I
I
think
think that's really
different
important.
different event planners are going to bring different things to the table too.
Absolutely.
For example, you have a PR background. You took, had some classes in college and did some of that throughout
PR
your
major.
career, and so you have that mindset that other event planners are not going to have. You can offer that PR mindset to the planning of an event, whereas I've got the architect background and I can contribute to the layout and the flow of people. And there's going to be other people who have different backgrounds who can bring different benefits to the event planning world.
And I think the important thing to say about that right there is know when you need to hand it off. And I
Yeah,
think
that's great.
that's one of the fun parts. I was a PR major, but I know when to hire a PR firm, and I know when to bring them in,
Yeah.
and I believe in bringing them in earlier than later. And I love PR. I love the science of it. I love the art of it. Uh, and really, I feel like events are kind of a close cousin to PR. You're the same with architect. We wrestle with this sometime of, well, Todd, you can figure that out. And he's like, no, we've got to hire a professional person to come in and figure this out, who does this better than we do, or who wants to focus on it all. And I think that's another important thing, is because we're good at something. I can be good at singing. That doesn't mean I'm going to sing at every event. I can play the piano. That doesn't mean I'm going to play the piano at every event. And I
Yeah.
think that's where we are as event planners too, and helping
So
our clients do that.
I think one of the things we were talking about earlier is that the client is good at things too, and they need to be doing what they're good at, not what we're good at. Does that make sense?
Right.
So,
Yeah,
what are
absolutely.
some of those things that you would think of that clients like we need to allow that we're basically freeing them up to do their job?
Well, I think it's a great point. Where creativity is a good example. If we have a very creative client, we want to work hand with them. We're not going to try to tell them we can do this better.
Hmm.
If I'm doing a event for the William Morris Agency, I'm not going to suggest that we hire all the entertainers. It's like they're going to do that well. If we have a group, if we have a client who excels in technology, who excels in, I had a client for a long time who their in-house video capabilities were over the top. They won awards every year for their in-house video work, and their video producer is one of the greatest guys around. I would love to hire him for our company in a moment. He's great. And I think to recognize when I walked into there, I'm not outsourcing video. They get it. I'm not even telling them probably where to put video in the event, because they get that. I am telling them, hey, I think this would be a great time for a speaker to come up, and here's what's probably he needs to say, or here's what the room needs to look like, or here's how your guests feel, because I do know they're used to something that's very produced and very well. And so again, I can kind of look at their strengths and know where they're leading from, know where they've invested their energies, their efforts, uh, what they can do.
So
So
I think one of the selling points that I've seen work really well as we've been talking to clients and potential clients is talking to them about how they don't want to be, for example, running out to get ice right when the event is about to start, right when their key, let's say it's a fundraiser, when their key donors walking in the room, they don't want to be covered in water from dripping ice as they're trying to greet their key donor as they walk into the event. Or same principle. The mother of the bride doesn't need to be worried about where the cake is when the bride is seeing her groom for the first time, um,
really good.
or vice
That's
versa.
Yeah, great stuff. And I think that's another thing that we work really hard at, as event planners, is to take care of our clients during the event. And so, I typically, if I'm in the front of house with the guests, the clients, I'm keeping my eye on the client and seeing where they are, what they're doing, making sure they have the drink they need, making sure they have the food that they want, making sure they're sheltered. If there's someone who needs to be sheltered from somebody, then I can do that. I can take care of them. And I think again that adds value to what we do and who we are. I will never, ever, ever thinking through to make sure I can't think of a situation.
Never
Never
say never,
ever
Joe.
have a confrontation with a client at an event. I would never challenge them at an event. I would never give them more information than they need. I think that again
Yeah,
is
that's good.
sometimes what happens. We had an event earlier this year where it's the first time I remember ever I had to go to the client about three major issues that came up during the event. Three major things, like there was a accident where someone was very hurt. There was a situation where some people were upset. I mean, it was a really crazy night, and so I took three major things to her. I also took seven more 3 days later, and I said, by the way, this is what else happened at the event that you need to know about, and this is what I've done. This is how we can mitigate some stuff, and just try to protect her from as much as possible, because it got to the point she was dreading. I mean, she was laughing at the point the third time I came, like, oh no, what's going on now? But I think that's an important part of helping them see that you're an extension to them, and again that you're valuable to them as you're taking care of them. Mothers of the bride, we do weddings. I want to make sure that mother and father of the bride and groom are taken care of, that they know what's going on. Um, they're informed. I'm making sure they're getting their good moments. Again, I'm suggesting to them, hey, be sure and take your daughter out to lunch the week of, or be sure and wash the car, or whatever, whatever the cases are. Really building those relationships, because I want them to be able to come back later and say, that's what saved the day. You
Like
knew to do that.
stuff that
I didn't know
stuff
that.
that only they can be doing.
Right.
You can be off putting tablecloths on the tables, but they're the only ones that can, pray over their daughter or whatever it is that they want to be doing.
That's exactly right. And so again, I think looking for those opportunities really adds value. And as long as you can look for, the opportunity to help someone succeed, help someone do better, then you have value. And so again, thinking back to our overarching goal is, I couldn't have done this without you. And what gets us to the client saying that we want them to say that at the end, I could not have done this without you. What gets them there from the moment you meet them and begin talking about developing a relationship with them, doing the bid process, proposal, whatever you're doing, to the end of the event, you're settling up, you're returning things, whatever, and for them to say, I couldn't have done this without you. Then that's the level, to me, that you've shown your value, and you've shown that you're worth every penny. You've shown that you're professional. So,
And I think we mentioned it a couple of times in this episode, but that after event is something I've really learned a lot from you, Joe. Is after the event, you need to be the one taking everything. Your client should maybe walk away with if maybe a bouquet of flowers, and maybe you need to be taking that bouquet to them later. But everything from the event, you need to be gathering that up, putting it in your truck or your car, or whatever, your van, whatever vehicle you got, and collecting that and making sure it gets back where it needs to go, on Monday or whatever, the day after the event, week after the event. That just takes a huge load. Your client is exhausted by the end of an event. You are too, but it's your job to take care of them and make sure they have a good end of the night and they leave with a good taste in their mouth.
we have a friend who, PR guy, who at the end of every meeting, he says,
Like
that was a
this.
great meeting. That was just a great meeting, whether it was or not. And he has a way of bringing out, something. Wow, I wouldn't have thought of that idea. It was so good. Everyone was here together. And we've kind of developed that same philosophy for the events of I like to walk my client out. I want to make sure that they're on their way happy, everyone's in a good spot, whatever that is,
Oh,
and telling them the successes of the night, making sure they know, wow, this is a great event. And honestly, I can think through sometimes I failed at that. One night haunts me a lot, of where the end of the night, several things had gone wrong, and I was probably playing a little bit of the blame game. I was trying to help. Well, we had a vendor who was going to the client to tell them everything that went wrong from their perspective, and I wanted to get my 2 cents worth in, and so I did that, and we ended the night with me telling them everything that went wrong from their event, and I thought about it a lot because that was my last event with them, and again, I kind of learned a lot from that of we got to help our clients go to sleep that night. This was good. This went well, and there's some things we can improve. There's some things we can do better. Let's make that list next week. Let's work on those things
Right.
later.
Right. I
And
when I keep thinking of this, but as we're, you and I work as a team on events, and of course, we usually have several people with us helping out with labor and stuff. But um, being a team really helps with, you can be there with the client, shielding them or protecting them, whatever. I can be dealing with vendors and, labor and keeping things moving on the backstage part. And I think that being a team like that is just critical when you're, especially day of, you've got to have more than one capable person in addition to your labor that's helping to manage that event.
yeah, that's exactly right. I think, Todd, one of the things I really appreciate about you is your whatever it takes kind of attitude, and
Hmm.
you can see through any issues or challenges and just hurdles and jump through them, and whatever it takes, you make it happen. And I think part of what you're saying with that client relationship is really anticipating some of their needs. I have one client who's they're president of their organization, and they always have a pin when they speak, and I realize that I need to make sure I have a pen that I can hand them if they don't have one.
Yeah.
And just anticipating that. I have another client who I noticed a lot of times will need ibuprofen, and so I just carry it in my backpack, and I always have it. And especially if I'm going to that event with that client, I'm going to make sure. Oh yeah, I've got what you need. I've got it for you, and providing that, which that's a whole nother episode, is what all to take with you to events. I think we've got that on the list for down the road ways, but we want to talk about that in some
And
ways again to add value because of what you have with you. So I think that's an important part.
it's good. We're, I think we're getting close to time, but what you talked about, the whatever it takes attitude. I think another attitude that we wanted to talk about was happy to help attitude. Whatever, we're happy to help. We're happy to do that for you. We're happy to take that sign and take it back to your office for you, or take that easel back to your office, or
Or
take
buy that
down
easel.
or yeah, buy the easel for you, exactly, or take down the backdrop for you and store it, and uh, whatever it takes, we're happy to do. Um, Whatever you want us to do, whatever takes your headache away.
One of the
I
things
think
I
that
think
goes a long ways towards helping clients see your value.
I learned a lot from my uncle in the hardware business because he very much had that. Um, it was never a not that's not my job, and he said he sold more hardware helping people through with their home repairs, and he sold more hardware by even helping people know you don't need that, you need this instead, and so they'd
Mm-hmm.
come back and get that. And I think about that a lot, and I think about some of that, the dangerous place that service providers get of that's not my job. And we work really hard to never have that's not my job. If there was a I think about a night there was a theft and some stuff was stolen, and we tracked it down. We went with security. We did whatever we could do to take care of that. And there's probably a point that
If we were there till
I
2:30 in the morning looking for stuff.
exactly hidden in the ceiling tile in the
Uh-huh.
women's bathroom. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I think there's a pertinent that is our job, and we are going to take care of that. And I think that is what helps us be valuable um, in the end to our clients. So I hope so, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. Well, this has been a good episode. We're trying to figure out if this is really a valuable episode or not. I think it turned out to be one of our more valuable episodes. So
We would
hope everybody enjoyed this, and be
we'd love
sure
to have
and
your feedback.
yeah.
Your feedback means the world to us when we get the emails, Todd at rumbledrum.com or Joe at rumbledrum.com, looking at our website. Soon, if not now, there will be a feedback form on there to give ideas and thoughts. We'd love for that to be something you do. Subscribe, like, all those things really help us to do better at what we're doing, to do better at and encouraging you. And that's really what we're here for. We hope today has been encouragement to you to do better, becoming a better event planner. If you are in the role of a service provider or other event professional listening, or maybe you are a client role, I also hope this has helped you to think through the value of an event professional, the values they bring, and the people they can add to your team. I always say building the best team is the secret to success. And we really want to put the fun in event planning. And so we hope we've done that by helping you be more valuable and by helping the event professionals in your life be more valuable. So again, subscribe, tune in, like, give feedback. We'd love to hear more and ideas for future episodes too. Have a great week.
See you next time. Thanks.